So you might not have heard of INEOS before, but they are a privately owned top 50 company in the world in terms of revenue, and a sponsor of the Gradcracker petrochemical sector in the Gradcracker Toolkit. They're a really large chemicals company. You might not know INEOS because they typically sell business to business rather than being in front of consumers. And there's been a lot of developments with INEOS over the last few years. They've diversified into so many different areas. So it's a really exciting time to join INEOS as a business. There's a very recent formation of a business that Monica's going to tell us a little bit more detail about later on, called INEOS Hygienics, and the involvement as well that INEOS has been having in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, in terms of hand sanitizers as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by just playing you a little bit of a video as well to really bring to life and give you a real insight into the different sectors and things that INEOS work in. So I'm just going to get that up and ready for you guys to look at. Okay. So here we go.
Wow.
Yeah. So
very impressive.
It's a really fantastic overview, that, isn't it? You know,
yeah,
and it really does bring to life some of the amazing things and how diverse as an organisation INEOS is. So I'm not sure whether we have Annie back yet, whether she can, we have any volume? No, unfortunately not. I don't know, Annie, whether it's worth you trying to leave the meeting and then rejoin and see whether that kicks it back in. But in the meantime, we'll have a bit of a chat with Anuj and Monica.
Brilliant. So should we swip it over? We'll swip it around. We'll maybe kind of go to Anuj and Monica, and then we'll come back to Annie hopefully later on. So hi guys, thank you so much for joining us. And what I'd like to kind of do first is just, if you can both introduce yourself, maybe Anuj, if you can go first, and kind of talk to me a bit about why you initially were attracted to INEOS, what uni you went to, and where you are in the scheme at the moment, please.
Yeah, I'll kick off first. So I did chemical engineering with Spanish at Sheffield University 2 years ago, coming up to 2 years this week. And yeah, my academic background was within engineering. I was fortunate enough, I did some work experience while I was at uni, working in a technical role quite closely linked to engineering, and then doing something pretty different in consulting. And what INEOS did, and what I kind of brought together with applying to the scheme, was it allowed me to keep that base that I'd learned at university within the industrial and business environment, but then combine that with getting that commercial offering that INEOS gives you on its grad program. I currently am coming up to my 2 years in the rotation, which is based in London. So we're responsible for the procurement and trading of all the feedstocks that INEOS requires for its plants and its businesses. So we get an exposure to the oil and gas trading markets, a lot of analysis, quite a quantitative role. But it's a real role that you get put in at an early stage. So joining a team where there previously wasn't that function, and then really being able to develop that into something I've enjoyed doing for the last 2 years. So that's my short bio.
What a journey already, from starting your degree and then to where you are now. You've experienced a lot already so early on in your career. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Very impressive. Monica, same kind of questions to you, if you wouldn't mind. If you'd like to introduce yourself, uni, where you went, what you did, and where you are now.
Perfect. Just to check, you can hear me okay?
Definitely hear you, thank God.
Very good, yeah. So, yeah, a bit of background. I'm a chemist by trade, so I did an undergraduate master's degree in chemistry at Bath University, and then followed on with a MRes and PhD also in chemistry at UCL. So actually quite similar to Anuj, I sort of also managed to get some work experience in industry, and actually found myself enjoying sort of the commercial aspects a bit more than technical topics. So hence my interest and initial application to INEOS as part of the commercial graduate program, because, well, basically it's a bit of both, a bit of chemistry and commercial mixed in as well. So that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm, I think, currently my third year. So second rotation, just recently moved back to London from Germany. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I know you've mentioned previous before this webinar, so I really want to touch upon the chance that you guys have had to travel, and we'll be traveling soon, so we definitely want to touch upon that. So next, really what I want to kind of know is kind of your really early experiences within INEOS. So what initially attracted you, what kind of made INEOS stand out to the other employers that were out there for you?
Should I kick off first?
Yeah, sorry, Anuj, I should have said your name. That's just sorry.
No, don't worry. I was always quite interested in the sector itself. The oil and gas industry is an interesting one. There's so many. It's such a relevant industry when it comes to what we're doing and then how we live day to day. INEOS was attractive because it's a growing company. It's a growing company, which is something quite rare in the space at the moment, and it expanded really aggressively in the last 20 years. So it being a young business, only 20 years old, and being up there with some businesses that have been around for a very, very long time. So kind of being part of that entrepreneurial spirit was something that really attracted me, and then hopefully being part of that growth in the future. I also was keen on, it was one of the few companies that offered travel in terms of, the actual experience to go and work abroad, where you could get that experience of immersing yourself in a culture. I really liked doing that at uni, going to Madrid as part of my Erasmus program. And I wanted to kind of extend that as much as I could into my world of work as well. So yeah, those are my kind of motives for applying.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's something that I've definitely noticed working with INEOS for the last 6 years or so, is just how entrepreneurial you guys are as a business. Happening all the time. So it definitely comes across. It's my experience is actually working down here on the graduate team as well, Anuj.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think for me, all of the things that Anuj mentioned, but also the culture, that was definitely one thing that stood out for me in terms of INEOS. Just like that, the flat, down to earth, go-getter attitude that sort of INEOS portrayed through all of the different steps, even I think from the videos that you've just seen, you kind of get that sense of go out and do it, and that sort of resonated with my personality, I think. And also, I'm not going to lie, the Namibia trip, which I think you're going to mention was definitely high up there with in terms of unique selling points with regards to grad schemes for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting how you saying the words like being entrepreneurial. I think initially I always think being entrepreneurial, sometimes you've got to kind of go it alone, set up your own business and be that way inclined, but it's so nice to be part of something but then to still be entrepreneurial and have those ideas and to be listened, to be heard, and for those ideas to come alive. So how amazing is that you've got the opportunity to do that?
Sure.
Okay, so what I would like to talk about,
Jessica, is, and just double check whether we can hear Annie again yet.
Oh yeah, sorry Annie.
No,
unfortunately not.
It's all right. We'll deal with it, Annie. Don't you worry.
We'll sort you out.
We'll carry on.
So when we do hopefully get Annie back, what Annie is going to cover is like the recruitment process. But from Anuj and Monica, from your point of view, could you kind of touch upon really what the recruitment process was like at INEOS, and also what kind of experiences you had when you were going through the process? Anuj, do you want to start that one again?
Yeah, the recruitment process is quite simple, really. You fill in a form, and there's a few questions about obviously yourself and your academic background. I think that would take you by surprise, and then a few questions that what you'd expect from a competency-based, initial stage. Then you have a phone call interview with either, mine was with Annie, so a personal experience with Annie, and we ended up talking for probably about an hour.
Wow.
And then the assessment centre, and finally the final interview, which is at the head office in Switzerland. The recruitment process, my biggest thing and what I think was great about it was its personal touch. I was actually discussing with Monica the story of my application. I ticked the wrong box in my applicant form and said that I would be eligible to work in Europe. And although it seems that whoever read my application liked it and emailed me back saying you've got a British passport, but you've said you're not eligible to work in the UK, so what's going on here?
Right, okay.
So yeah, one tip is read your application before you send it off, I'm sure. Yeah.
Thank God though, you spoke to someone and you managed to speak to Annie, and you could have that conversation, because sometimes obviously with some recruiters you can get lost in the system and you don't have a chance to explain what had gone wrong. But how brilliant, that's a real selling point itself.
Got an email back straight away going, we've noticed this seemed unusual, so someone will read what you're willing to say and appreciates the effort that we all know what goes into a graduate application. But yeah, I think that shines through initially, and then as you get to know the people within the process, there's some fantastic people that sit in front of you and they are really looking to get the best out of you as well during the process.
Definitely. Wow.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry, we still unfortunately can't hear Annie at the moment.
I think Anuj, you've kind of really hit the nail on the head there. It's that personality of INEOS and the personal factor. I think that definitely comes across in the interviews. I found them oddly enjoyable, even though you are challenged. These aren't a walk in the park, but it's always in such a positive way. The person opposite you wants you to do your best and get the best out of you, and that flat structure. You could be sat across from a CEO in one of your final interviews, but it doesn't matter. And it's so, you really felt like you weren't just a candidate, you were, people wanted you to succeed throughout the interview process. That's what I really liked. Yeah.
Sounds as though it was a very personable experience. Again, it wasn't like you were put through a system and then spat out at the end and then got a phone call. It was very, very early on. You were speaking to someone and you were kind of getting the culture and the vibe, and they would, find out more about you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. So next I kind of want to touch upon is, I love these questions because I always love you the answers. I just think they're great, and I think sometimes I get excited because they kind of repeat what, you know, again, what Gradcracker and what the careers advisors and what we're saying to students a lot. So what I want you to do is give us some advice and some hints and tips on, you know, kind of the application process. I know the INEOS kind of recruitment process is quite unique, but what advice would you give to someone? And if you can kind of go back and think what bits kind of stressed you out, maybe worried you, and, you know, what did you do to kind of go over that?
Yeah, I'll take lead on that again. I think my three ones to think about what I did back when I applied. I think get to know the company well. A lot of information out there now. I think INEOS's profile has changed massively in the last probably 5 years, but particularly the 2 years since I've become aware of it. So get to know INEOS, and I think it's pretty clear the type of culture and the type of people that are working here through the media and various outlets that are available to everyone.
Yeah.
And, you know, see if that fits you, see if those are the type of challenges you want to get involved in, because that will be really important in the interview. My one, and we've discussed it before, is get to know the company in terms of not only the company is what it's going to do for you, but what are its challenges, who are its customers, who are its suppliers, and what are they facing. No one's asking for a business case, and no one expects you to know the ins and outs of their business, because that's what they're paid to do. But have an awareness that you've, you know, had a think about where this stuff all goes. The video was a great taste to this, but yeah, look at the products around you every day, the toothpaste that you use in the morning. But understanding that, and the business managers that will be involved in the recruitment process will appreciate that time and effort in a business that is, you know, relatively in the background when it comes to the economy. Finally, my last one of the three tips would be just use as many and as a wide variety of examples as you can in the process. So whether it's work experience or kind of societies, you may think it might not be super relevant. You might think it's not related to a job at INEOS, but every role, whether for me it was being an officer cadet, or, you know, as simple as I worked in a nursery as a childcare assistant in the holiday, all of those have, you know, elements which can help you, and people appreciate, you know, you're showing you've got motivation, you're looking to really put that time and effort in. So yeah, use those, because those are appreciated by people. No one wants to hear the same kind of run-of-the-mill answer again and again.
Yeah, I think it makes you more unique as well, doesn't it? It means you can stand out. It's another talking point, isn't it? And I think, you know, you can then relate to those experiences and give examples of, you know, why you'd be suitable for the role. So yeah, definitely, you know, get it all down, and as much experience as you can get, you know, whether it be direct or not. Monica, what tips do you have?
I think just be yourself and be genuine, be honest. You know, I wouldn't pretend to be someone you're not. You know, I think it's a two-way street, isn't it? It's not just about whether the company likes you, it's also whether you like the company. And the best way to you know, get to grips with that is by being yourself. So I think, you know, you want to make sure that both of your personalities align, and yeah, that would be my biggest tip. Yeah,
definitely. Well, obviously it worked for you too, didn't it?
And it's
we hope. And he's still silent, so.
I know. Is there any chance is there anything you can do, Surf, to get Annie back in, or?
Unfortunately not, no.
So at the moment we've still got her down as mute, so I wonder if we can do it.
The only thing we could suggest is if we put her on a call and you can hear her through a call. That's the only thing I can suggest that might work. But up to you.
Yeah, I will see if I can get some. Not sure. Yes, I should be able to send a phone number where she should be able to dial in. So let me get those details while Jess is on with the next question.
Thanks. Yeah, sure. If you need to cut your video off, Soph, and do whatever you need to do, put yourself on mute, and you maybe give Annie a quick call and we can get her back.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, because Annie's got lots that she wants to cover in terms of the application process, what the recruitment plans are looking like for this year. She's got lots of, again, hints and tips for the audience. So we'll try and get her back in and get her ready and raring to go. Monica, so what I want to talk to you about as well is the amazing work that you've been doing in Frankfurt for the last 3 years. So if you can just tell us a bit about your experiences there, how you felt moving, and most importantly, the support that you got, the support that you got from INEOS, and, how you found the whole experience. Tell me more.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, what can I say? How long have you got? It was great. I mean, it's not, I think there's no other program like it that will send you to a European country for 2-3 years. It's one thing kind of, going for a couple of months or going on holiday to a country. I thought I vaguely knew Germany, having, visited quite a few times, but it's a total different experience when you actually live there. You get to know the culture, you get to know, the language, should you wish to. I mean, that's something that INEOS help you with. There are language lessons. Also, you're not out there alone. INEOS help you with the relocation. Also, you've always got a group of graduates in various different years that are in one of these locations that are in the same boat as you. And actually, you build sort of a bit of a international grad community, and it's amazing in terms of your business development and your progress as an international business employee, but also in terms of private life. It's really good fun, and you learn a lot about yourself as well, moving to a new country. So
Monica,
I couldn't recommend it enough.
Sorry, that was my fault interrupting. So if you could kind of go back, so why did you get offered this position in the first place? Was it something that you suggested that you wanted to do, or was it just that you already knew a part of the program before you started that that's what you'd be doing? How did it all come about? Yeah,
so I mean, part of what interested me in the program was the European element and the fact that you can go abroad. But I think I sort of said to Annie in one of my interviews that London's amazing, and I'd been there for the last 4 or 5 years before my job acceptance, and I sort of asked her, please send me away, and and that's exactly what they ended up doing. So that was brilliant, and yeah, Germany is such a great country, and it's a big, it's an important country for INEOS. We have quite a few businesses there, so I welcomed it with a very happy heart, let's say.
And so I can imagine. So the support then that you got from INEOS. So people might have about reservations about joining and working with a new team in a new place, but never mind traveling from country to country. So talk me a bit about the support that you got from INEOS, was in terms of whether it be relocation packages or anything like that?
Yeah, exactly. All the good stuff in terms of relocation packages, relocation help. But there's always a grad that's also been through it, so you kind of build your network with the other graduates, and there's an element of you wanting to do some of it yourself as well. It's not it's how much help and stuff you want, sort of thing. So it's not there is a set routine. I think that's an important thing about INEOS, is you each have your own pathways through this kind of program, and yeah, it is good fun.
You can build your own way, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So Monica, what I want to talk to you next is about your new and exciting role that you're kind of working on a brand new project with INEOS.
Yep.
And I wonder if you can tell the audience a bit more about what you've been doing.
Yeah, so brand new business, kind of originated as a response to the global corona crisis. We are basically Europe's largest producer of the active ingredient that goes into hand sanitizer, so pharmaceutical grade alcohol. And so in typical sort of INEOS nature, there was a global shortage, and we basically had to respond. So we decided to basically build 6 plants in 10 days each, in the UK, France, Germany, and the US, meaning we were producing millions of bottles of hand sanitizer that we gave away to hospitals, to thousands of hospitals in across Europe and the UK, so the NHS, entirely for free, to get them through the peak of the pandemic. And so, being the entrepreneurial spirits that we are at INEOS, we kind of thought, well, actually, as we move out of lockdown and, we're trying to get back to a bit more normality in our day-to-day lives, sanitization is becoming, more and more important. So, we wanted to make publicly available the same hospital grade sanitizer that we gave to the NHS and other health services around Europe to the public. So we created a new business called INEOS Hygienics. And we offer sprays, hand gels, surface wipes to the public, and available online and retail stores. And the reason why it's so exciting is, you started this webinar saying we're a B2B business, and actually this is the first sort of real venture we're having into the B2C space. And so that comes with its challenges as well. And we're getting lots of help from, some of our sports side. As you know, INEOS is also involved in sports for all of the sort of Formula One fans. I don't know if you've seen recently
on the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. On Lewis Hamilton's bib, you can see, as well as Valtteri, you can see INEOS Hygienics. So yeah, they're helping us get our name out there, and hopefully, sanitization to the public to help us, reach a bit more of a new normal, hopefully.
What an amazing time to be part of INEOS now, though. It's just going from strength to strength. It's amazing. It's so exciting.
Jess, to interrupt. Annie, can we hear you?
Can you hear me? Third time lucky. Well, you've been hearing from the most important people anyway, who are the graduates, so that's fine.
Brilliant.
I'm so glad. So we'll come to you towards the end, Annie, rather than what we were going to do at the beginning, but fantastic.
No problem.
You.
Amazing.
Okay.
Anuj, I just want to quickly go to you, and if we could just talk a bit about your role at INEOS, and obviously some exciting news that's happening to you in September, moving to Belgium. So if you could just tell us a bit more about your trading and shipping team that you work at the moment, and then what your plans are for September.
Yeah, sure. So currently, based in London, working for the trading and shipping team. INEOS has a huge exposure to international energy and oil markets. So it's the job for our trading team in London to make sure we're managing that in the most, profitable and the safest way possible. So we look, and our number one remit is to supply our assets that produce the base chemical that helps fuel the rest of INEOS. Once you get past that molecule, you really diversify pretty quickly into everything that goes into the rest of INEOS, and then into the products we see day to day. So what I've really enjoyed about the job is that it's combined that interest of a marketplace and being such an international stage in which you can do business. It's been a fantastic opportunity to meet other counterparties, to move around and meet different people, get involved in, there's nothing more exciting than that, at such a young age. The role itself is quite numerical, so it drew on my background in chemical engineering, but, it didn't require a degree in that specific area. What it looks to do, and what my managers have looked at from me, is that ability to approach a problem, break it down, apply, the logic and the kind of entrepreneurial spirit, and try and get a result out the end. We're really lucky. We work really closely with the traders, and we're there learning from them. I think that's been the first year, and no matter what career you go into, I think it's the start of a very long learning process, although I wished I'd ended that when I left university. I think just began it. And I think that's the great thing, is that you learn stuff and you learn it with an application, and they're really good at developing that within the young people at INEOS. I think I've really enjoyed as well within my current role is the autonomy I was given from an early stage. So there was no one previously doing my job when I started. So it was really for me to fill in and to make it what I wanted. I was interested in things like automation and coding, and there weren't skills I had before. And I had nothing but support from my mentors and managers to go out, learn it. If I can make a business case to come up with something different and help the team, they were fully supportive. So, you know, working across that kind of team is all you can ask for as a young person, really.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think, you know, again, it's a great bit of advice as well there you've given, Anuj, because I think sometimes people do pigeonhole themselves, you know, and I have spoken to students in the past, you know, they think because I'm studying this, I can only look at these particular jobs. But how amazing is it that, you know, you've taken the skills that you've learned from doing chemical and then applying them to something completely different, that, you know, still using those skills that you've gained along the way is just brilliant. And I think it's, you know, a great point, you know, for the audience and anyone listening, thinking, you know, be open when you are job hunting, because, you know, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself, because, you know, the opportunities that you've got ahead of you now, Anuj, is phenomenal, and the stuff that you've done so far, you know, both you and Monica, is brilliant. So do you want to tell me a bit about your future plans?
Yeah, so, you know, as we finished our first rotation, the rotations generally, you know, from the shortest ones could be a year, but most of them tend to be from 18 months to 2 years. So you definitely get stuck into your role, and you do learn how to do that and have that direct input. But I've come up to 2 years within trading and shipping in London,
right.
And I was kind of told earlier this year that I'll be moving to INEOS Oxides, which is a derivative chemical business of INEOS, and I'm moving actually out to Antwerp, so in Belgium, with the business there. So it's my last week this week, and then in September I'll be starting a new role.
Wow.
That will be in the production and planning side of the business, so working as opposed to being an office-based role and working more behind the scenes of an asset. I'll be working in direct contact with, you know, production managers, procurement managers, making sure the right products and the right materials are in the right place at the right time, and helping the various teams to maintain that business and asset going forward. So I'll be joining a team of around 6 planners, and being a graduate in a very experienced team is, again, a similar theme from my previous role, but looking to learn as well how that runs, because if you are to move it up in any business, you need to know how you know, the core functions work and how they how things actually move. So yeah, exciting new challenge, and looking forward to getting my international experience as well.
So definitely. So do you know how long then you'll be in Belgium for? Have you got that?
Yeah, the role is a 2-year role. You know, depending on the circumstance, it can be less, it can be slightly more. I know some graduates who've done roles and they've really enjoyed it and decided to stay an extra year, some 2 years, depending on personal situations, and others who may roll off slightly earlier when businesses have roles available that you think are really suitable for you. So, you know, that's the kind of flexibility that the HR team have reflected. And yeah, I think that makes it, you know, I'm a UK resident. I like being at home, but then I want to get that experience too. So I think it's nice to be able to balance both like that, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great time in life as well. You know, when you're starting off in your career, why not get as much experience and do as much as you can. So can you pick really then? So, you finished your time in London. Can you again suggest, oh, this is what I want to do next? You know, is that a conversation, say, you have with Annie and other members of the team, or?
Yeah, it's not a pick. It's not, you're not given roles in front of you and said, you know, which one would you like? it's a conversation that looks at what you've done for the last 2 years, your preferences, you know, things like location, your personal circumstances, and then the HR team will look and work with you to get a role that they feel is a fit. I think that is quite good in the sense that, you know, as a young person joining a business like this, you don't know what's out there. You have, I think, in the first 4 or 5 years, you have skills that you'd like to tick off, and I'm sure you might come onto that question later. But as a commercial kind of professional within INEOS, there's lots of aspects to that. So I think the team, and Annie might correct me on that, but they're looking to make you a rounded person and a rounded graduate within INEOS. So they're there to fulfill a business need, and then also there's your preferences within that too. So that's how I felt the process has been.
Wow. Well, my next question, I feel as though you both answered it, because why the hell would you want to leave or go anywhere else apart from INEOS, because it sounds amazing. What's the plans for your next 5 years? You know, I guess, Monica, you know, you've kind of got your route kind of set out now, but it seems as though you've got a big hill to climb in front of you now, and it looks like an exciting one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you never know what the future holds, obviously, but the only thing I know is with INEOS, you will be challenged, doesn't matter where you are, what business you're in, what role you're in. So there's always room for development. And I think that, to me, is the really cool thing about INEOS is you've got so many businesses. So you kind of, you know, there is many of opportunity to grow and progress. So, you know, also it's very hard to know what business that, you know, how businesses will change. You know, 4 months ago we didn't have an INEOS hygienics business. So yeah, that's I think that's the beauty of INEOS. Yeah, don't have a plan, be open-minded, and yeah, embrace every opportunity you get, really, because it's not every day that you basically work for a startup that is also part of a huge organization. So yeah.
Amazing, guys, that was brilliant. Thank you so much, both of you, for your time and efforts today. That was great. Annie, hopefully we can hear you now, and we've got you back.
I don't know, am I still here?
Yes, we can hear you. Brilliant. Okay. So the plan is, Annie, you've got some, obviously the recruitment area you want to talk about, and to kind of let everyone know when the scheme opens and what's going to happen next.
Yeah. Also, okay, so I think as we've seen, I mean, I think we need to be agile. I think we've very much seen that on this Zoom call. So I was going to go through a presentation. We'll forget about that now. But obviously, anyone who is seriously interested in INEOS, it's all on the hub, you know, on the Grad Cracker site. So you've just got to go there. So we'll scrap the presentation. So in terms of our graduate scheme, you've heard from two important people who are on our commercial scheme. This is the scheme where we move people around Europe, as they've explained. We also recruit engineers in to do technical engineering roles. So people who want to get their hands dirty on a plant. We have an engineering scheme in the UK. You get chartership over that 5-year period. So we recruit graduates into Grangemouth, which is a site up in Scotland, which is refinery and chemicals site, and into Runcorn. Runcorn is our Innovin business. Monica's alluded to the number of businesses. It's difficult to keep track. I think we've got about 34 or something at the last count. Innovin is a global business, but we recruit engineers into, as I say, the Runcorn site. They move around the site. We're recruiting engineers across Europe. So again, if you are someone who wants to have a technical career in engineering, we can offer that too. And if you really want to rise through the ranks, you need to be mobile. And then just like the commercial scheme, but probably a bit later in your career as an engineer, you can move around INEOS globally as well, because we have what we call ops directors on the boards. So they are the people that look after the plants, and those people need to have global experience across different countries and different businesses. So we can offer engineers, as an example, either a technical career or a commercial career. We also recruit a whole bunch of other STEM graduates, so other disciplines. So on the commercial scheme, as long as you're numerate with a technical degree, then we will look at your application.
Fantastic.
Okay. In terms of when it's open, so our commercial scheme is going to open early September. We're looking at slightly changing our application process, so we're going to open it slightly later than usual. The engineering scheme is probably more like November, so keep an eye out for that. I think hopefully you've heard from Anuj and Monica, we do have a very personal process. We aim to keep that up this year, irrespective of COVID. We don't do online testing. I think we're very unusual in that respect, and that's basically because we really look at the fit of the graduate in INEOS. So we want to get to know the graduate personally, very quickly, early on. So no online testing, no third-party involvement, no virtual interviews with horrible questions and a blank screen. We don't do any of that. We get in there, get stuck in straight away and try to get to know our graduates quickly. And, you know, it's a great place to work, as I hope you've heard. It doesn't suit everybody, but I think we're very open, we're very transparent, and we hopefully can offer a very enjoyable experience to a graduate, but we appreciate it works both ways. You're looking at us just as we're looking at you. What else can I say? What else do you want to know? So the type of people perhaps we're looking for, so who will do well in the process, who will cope well with an INEOS environment. So I think we're after bright people who want to make a difference, who are flexible, who can cope with ambiguity. As Monica and Anuj have already said, Anuj didn't know he was off to Antwerp, and that has been sorted out relatively quickly, and he's up to, will be off next week. Monica, as you say, we didn't even have this business a few months ago. There she's gone in as the commercial manager. So you need to be flexible. You need to be able to cope with not quite knowing what's going to happen next. That's half the fun of it, if you're the right type of person. We like nice people. Might sound a bit weird, but we fundamentally like to employ nice people. We don't like arrogance. So if we see hints of arrogance in an individual, we're not keen on that. We like team players. Again, very often use that term, but we honestly mean that. So we believe that, you know, individuals will perform better as members of a team. We like people with high levels of integrity, but people also like a bit of fun. People who like a challenge, people who like to push themselves. And I think that might segue quite nicely into hopefully our nice little video clip. So again, you know, I think you've heard we are quite unusual. We have all these sporting initiatives, but again, if you go on the Grad Cracker hub, you'll see. And we like our employees to stay fit. We have a view of sort of healthy mind, healthy body. We have something called the INEOS Energy Station, which is an online tool whereby we have all our fitness classes globally on there. We have a lot of advice, we have lots of training programs, and we have our own internal challenges that we employees can join. So for example, Tour de France is about to start. INEOS's cycling team, which is about to be renamed the INEOS Grenadiers, most successful cycling team in history. So we own them, they're in the Tour de France. We are doing our own virtual Tour de France with our INEOS employees. We can all join up, we can all form teams, and the aim is that the team does the same number of kilometres as the Tour de France does in each stage. And I've signed up for, in my location this year, I signed up last year. If you do over, I think it was 5K, you get an INEOS team t-shirt. So we've all got the shirts. I'm sure Monica's got one already, and Anuj. So we're all having a go for it this year. The Belgians normally do very well because they tend to cycle to work, so they've got a bit of a head start. But the rest of us will give them a run for their money. So that's sort of the general sort of ethos. So coming back to the graduate program, so this unique event that we offer people the opportunity, and Monica's just signed up for next year. Thank you, Monica. So this is a challenge. People sign up now, so it's a sort of a 9-month period whereby you do a lot of activities, you're working together as a team, it's global, it's for all our graduates. and it culminates with a 7-day challenge in remote Namibian desert, where you climb up the highest mountain in Namibia, you do running, you do cycling. In total, I think it's 325 kilometres over those 7 days. So all our graduates get an opportunity to sign up to that in year 3 and do it in year 4. So it's next May, the Namibia trip. And why do we do that? Why don't we just send them off on some outward bound course in Wales like other companies do? It's because it's different. It's a real challenge. We wanted to make it not a walk in the park, as you'll hear in the clip in a minute. And it fits with the INEOS ethos of nothing is impossible. And that's what the attitude we want people to come into INEOS with is, if you put your mind to it, you can actually achieve anything. So perhaps, Sophie, do you want to show this clip?
Absolutely,
perhaps that's a good way to finish.
Yeah, fantastic. No, that was a great introduction to it as well. And Monica touched on it earlier, and the Namibia trip just, it looks incredible. So this video is hopefully going to give you a real insight into that as well. So just need to get the right video up, so bear with me. So here we go.
Part of the INEOS philosophy is to encourage people to take on more. One should, if one can, try and maximise the number of days that are unforgettable.
Many large companies provide programs for graduates in terms of providing training and experiences and teamwork bonding. INEOS is different in terms of that's not going to be done in the New Forest or in the Cotswolds or in the Lake District. It's going to be in Africa.
Of course, Namibia is a fantastic place for adventures.
The scenery is stunning, but it really needs good grit and determination. Simply participating in these conditions, it's a really good place then to work together and to get through the challenges.
We wanted to make it a proper challenge, but something which people would feel at the end of the trip they'd really accomplished something personally. Running and biking are things that anybody can have a go at, and that's sort of accessible to anybody.
For any graduate coming here, I'm sure will have a fulfilling time. To then feel the emotion and the satisfaction of an achievement at the end of it, I mean, that's what it's all about.
It's remarkable how much people can do and how much they can accomplish, and people, they've sort of got these brakes on in the head, but when you take the brakes off, it's remarkable what you can achieve.
Right, fantastic. I mean, I think that just shows you how amazing that experience is going to be. And you know, I'm really jealous of you being able to take part in that next year, Monica. I think it's going to be an incredible experience. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. It's been so interesting hearing from Anuj and Monica about their experiences, and finally getting Annie towards the end to come back in. So I do apologise about the technical issues that we had, but it really has been interesting. And I think it's so great for our student audience to really be able to understand INEOS now, and really get to know all the amazing things that you're doing. So it's been really, really valuable for us and really valuable for the audience as well. So thank you again. Audience, remember that the Commercial Graduate Scheme is going to be opening in the next few weeks. So make sure you head over to the INEOS Hub now, get following them, so make sure you're alerted on the day when those vacancies go live. And the engineering ones, as Annie said, will be going live a little bit later in the autumn. Remember, if there's anything that you want to come back and have a look at, the webinar will be available to rewatch, and we will be cutting it up into little segments. So whether you want to rewatch the whole thing or just watch little elements of it, then you'll be able to do all of that. And don't forget that we are holding a series of these webinars. So next week we'll be back again, me and Carla, talking to GSK. So I hope to see you all again. Thank you so much for joining us, INEOS and all the audience. And yeah, we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.